All right, let's roll.
All right.
Hello and welcome to the Virginia Solar Action Team meeting. My name is Aaron Such. I'm the Virginia Program Director and Mid-Atlantic Region Director for Solar United Neighbors. I am joined by my colleague Annie Wolf, who's our Director of Engagement. And it really is a pleasure to have you here. On the webinar, we're going to be speaking a little bit about ways that you can get involved in our work. Annie's going to give you an overview of our organization as a whole, and then I'm going to go into Virginia specifics. But before that, just wanted to remind you that Solar United Neighbors, we represent you. Our job is to facilitate your voice. And I think you can make a good argument that we've been successful by giving you all a platform to express the ways that you want to advocate for solar. So this webinar really is in that spirit and helping you find your areas of interest, way that you can support our work and the ways that we can support you. So I'm going to go ahead and give it over to Annie, and Annie's going to speak about some logistics before I take away from the Virginia perspective. Annie?
Welcome, everybody. Nice to meet you all. Thanks so much for joining us today. And everybody can see the screen and everything's good? Good, awesome. So to get started, just a quick overview of what we'll be doing, just some introductions, introduce you to the Virginia team, a little bit about who is Solar United Neighbors and why we're even meeting today, and then an update on the current landscape in Virginia, which is where I'll hand it over to Aaron, and then a little bit more about what you can do as part of the Solar Action Team. We are recording today, so we'll send out the slides as well as the recording to everybody. So if you want to take notes, go for it, but otherwise you will get all of the information later on. All right, so just a couple of logistics. If you have any questions, please use the chat function. We will pause after the two sections if you have any questions pertaining to what I'm talking about, and then certainly any questions at the end after Aaron speaks and what we've talked about then. But if you have questions while we're talking, feel free to use that chat function. And then we'll answer, if we haven't answered the questions during our talk, then we'll answer them at the end for sure. Again, you will receive an email after the webinar with a link and with a recording, as well as a link to the slides. And then if you have any technical difficulties at all, definitely use the chat function, or you can email me directly if the chat function isn't working for you. So feel free to use that. Awesome. So introduction. So Aaron already introduced himself, but he's our regional field director for the Virginia program. Alexis is our engagement specialist, and she covers Virginia. She's not on today. She had some flight difficulties with all this crazy weather that's happening around the country. So that's why I'm joining you, but she'll be the name that you see in your inbox most often if you haven't already. And then Roger is director of co-ops, and he handles our Go Solar program for the Virginia area. And then lastly, Glenn Brand is our policy and advocacy VP, and he's the one who handles Virginia policy in conjunction with Aaron. So those are the faces you'll see most often. So what is SUN? I'm sure some of you have been with us for a while and know exactly what we're all about, but for those of you who are just joining us and new to the Virginia program and new to Solar United Neighbors, we are a national 501c3 nonprofit. We have 12 field programs where we have an Aaron in each one of those 12, and then we do have a national program as well, so we are engaging people outside of those 12 field states. And our goal really is to provide educational and technical assistance to people interested in investing in rooftop solar and community solar, and really just to advocate on behalf of solar. So we are a consumer advocate. We do want to protect the consumers who are going solar. We are installer neutral. We don't align ourselves with any installers. So coming to us for advice, you're getting installer neutral advice. We also are financing neutral. We can help connect you to resources, but we don't advocate on behalf of either the installers or financing. And we also want to bring people together to advocate for solar on a national level and also within our different states. So we are a community. We're beyond that. We do really feel that we are a community of people who are building a new energy system, and we believe that rooftop solar is at the cornerstone of that new energy system. So we really work on helping people join together and go solar and also fight for energy rights. So this is our theory of change. We really believe that, you know, if you have that personal stake in solar, you have a really impressive story to tell people to help advocate for solar. It really is a nice cycle. You're not only just helping people helping advocate for solar, you're also helping others go solar, and that cycle keeps continuing. So that's our theory of change, of getting solar to be the cornerstone of our new energy field. So why a solar action team meeting? So solar action teams are what we call our sort of main volunteer program within our different states and also on a national scale. So this is a representation of the join together part of this theory, is coming together and supporting Erin and the work that happens in Virginia on the Go Solar side, so helping people, go solar through co-ops, but then also advocating for solar policies in Virginia and utilizing utilizing your stories and what you've done within the state to advocate for solar on behalf of all of your fellow Virginians. Awesome. So any questions before I pass things off to Erin? Great. Awesome. Take it away.
Great. All right. So what is the landscape of solar in Virginia? We're going to talk about what we hope to accomplish, what's on the policy horizon, our work in co-ops. But I think it's important to speak about where we've come from. And when I say we, it's really all of us that have been working together. We started our Virginia work officially in 2013, but in earnest in 2014. So we launched the first Solarize program in Solarize Blacksburg in 2014. And since that time, we've helped nearly 1,000 people put solar on their homes, mostly their homes and their businesses. And we've built a big constituency of solar supporters. We've helped them join together and count on the support of one another. And then we've also worked to pass policy. So we want to build on that work and kind of focus on a couple different areas. So what do we hope to accomplish in 2021? And I'll break it down by different areas. And maybe it's helpful as I'm speaking, maybe think of things that you're going to be interested in. First, our Go Solar programs consist mostly of the solar co-ops or the bulk purchase projects. What we really hope to do is continue to do those in key areas like Arlington, Hampton Roads, but also pilot some new projects as well. So we're looking at a different type of solar co-op program that we can deploy, for example, in Harrisonburg. So that's part of the Go Solar work that we're looking at. We're also been expanding our membership options. So somebody that is in an area that doesn't have a co-op that services that area, or maybe they want to go solar under a different timeline than what's dictated by the co-op, they could do that. So our Go Solar really helps to expand those options and kind of adapt them. I think we've done over 40 different co-ops here in Virginia. So our next step is to adapt those programs. Also look at some of the different technology that is available. So we've started to deploy more electric vehicle chargers as part of our co-ops. We piloted the first EV charger co-op 2 years ago in Arlington, and now all of our groups have the option of an EV charger. Also with battery storage and resiliency options, looking at deploying more on-site battery storage and linking people to more advanced grid options. So those that Go Solar part is going to continue to build. And then also the join together. The join together aspect is really, really important. So once we help folks go solar, we want to connect you to other solar owners. And really the best type of advocacy or the best type of way that you can help is by telling your story. There's nothing more powerful than somebody who's gone solar, knows what net metering is, talking to their neighbors about it. So we're going to look at giving you those options to maybe do a solar open house or to speak about your specific experience on the state or local level. Solar policy, we've been pretty successful in the last year. So a couple noteworthy achievements: the passage of the Virginia Clean Economy Act that sets a path towards 100% clean energy by 2045 and 2050. Last year, we passed legislation that addressed the single biggest barrier to residential solar adoption or installations, and that was onerous restrictions by homeowners associations. So we passed a piece of legislation that did that. Also work on the state and local level. So if there's a municipal utility that's holding up solar, we're going to turn people out, whether they be solar owners or industry folks, to fight that. Also, things that are smaller like permitting, local permitting jurisdictions can be favorable or unfavorable. So we're really looking at ways to address some of those small barriers. And in a bigger picture perspective, as I mentioned, we're focusing on resilience. So battery storage as a way for resiliency, also electric vehicles and solar as a local fuel, and then low and moderate income. So the question that we consistently ask ourselves is, how do we ensure that all of the benefits of rooftop solar reach all different types of populations? So we're looking at a couple partnerships with our low and moderate income work that's going to help expand those options. So that's a big kind of an overview of the solar landscape in Virginia. And I think the good news is there's a lot of different ways in which you can get involved. So I'm going to go to the next slide. There you go. What are some specific things? I see a lot of familiar faces on the webinar, folks that have done this a lot, and we really appreciate it. So what might be a specific role? You know, people are excited about solar. Maybe they have it on their roof of their house, or they want to help advocate for it. Probably one of the most important things or impactful things that you can be is a solar ambassador. And really it is, it's basically spreading the word, sharing your experience from a first person perspective. And we've seen it time and time again how powerful it is. Maybe you go to an information session and speak about your experience with the solar co-op, or speak about how panels on your roof didn't affect your homeowner's insurance warranty, things like that. That first person experience is really, really important. In fact, there's data that shows that the biggest factor that affects people's willingness to install solar is if their neighbors have it. So we have solar ambassadors, or people that become solar evangelists. So we want to help you help facilitate those opportunities. So if there's an information session, and I think Annie's going to get into some specific opportunities here in the short and medium terms, but that's just a great way to be impactful in your advocacy. Next, policy. So policy is really, really important. And Annie explained our theory of change. You know, we help people go solar, we help folks join together, and then we really mobilize folks as an effective constituency. What's unique about our constituency is we're a nonpartisan. We're actually, there's a lot of environmental folks, most of them are environmentalists, including myself, but we're not an environmental constituency. We're a constituency of solar owners and prospective solar owners that come at it from a lot of different reasons. So there could be people that install panels on their homes for climate change reasons, or maybe they want to fuel their electric vehicle. But what's unique about our constituency of folks is that we also have folks that may not be motivated by climate change. Maybe they want the resiliency benefits. Maybe they see the fact that solar is one of the biggest job creators in the local communities, or they simply just want the right to build clean local energy into our communities and control where our energy comes from. Now, all of those are great reasons to advocate and to go solar, and our job is to help you with the how and not the why. But it's powerful because for every person that is a dyed-in-the-wool environmentalist, we also have folks that come from a libertarian perspective that can speak to conservative lawmakers that can be impactful as well. So how does that work in the policy arena? And I saw there's a couple questions that I can get to here in a second. We work mostly on the state and local level in Virginia. And what affects solar really is on the state level. So things like net metering incentives, or state level tax credits, or interconnection, is usually dealt with in the General Assembly and the governor's office. But there could also be very local level things like permitting jurisdictions, or a good example was HOAs. Now with probably a more favorable administration, we have the opportunity to work on the federal level as well. So we can speak to those specific opportunities. Within those themes, so what are the themes? And mostly it's going to be around policy enactment. So there's passing legislation, but there's also utility accountability. So one of our themes is the Virginia Clean Economy Act sets a path towards 100% clean energy, but we want to make sure that it's not just utility owned or large scale solar. We want to make sure that people like you, solar owners or prospective solar owners, can take part in this transition. So what we've been doing, for example, lately is advocating on the State Corporation Commission level. So after the legislation is passed, that the State Corporation Commission makes the rules. So lately we had an action alert that went out last week that asked people to speak on the behalf of SRECs to make sure that the Corporation Commission had a specific rule or a carve out for distributed solar on homes or business. So that's an example of how we want to make sure that policies are enacted in a way that is friendly to solar owners and prospective solar owners. And, you know, in the same theme of small but important, so HOA rights, homeowners association rights, or up until last year, the lack thereof, was a really important theme. And we did some data collection from area installers and found that restrictive covenants and homeowners associations were one of the biggest barriers to solar installations on homes. So we passed a piece of legislation last year that got, again, broad bipartisan support that quantified what an unreasonable restriction is on a homeowners association. And essentially that means that if they impose a restriction that decreases the performance of the originally proposed system by 10% or more, or increases the cost by 5% or more, it would be unreasonable. And that's now in code. It's done a lot. It's not a perfect piece of legislation, but I think it's really moved the ball forward and helps address one of the principal barriers. And we were able to do that because we mobilize hundreds of comments from solar owners like yourself. And that's really, really important. I think our ability to mobilize real people to speak to their experience, to say, hey, my HOA blocked solar and I can't put it on my house now, or now I had to, you know, do 5 or 10 different design variations with my installer. Those are the kind of stories that speak really, really powerfully to legislators. So we're able to do that, got folks to come down in person and lobby in person and support advocacy actions and shares with networks. So there's a lot of different types of ways that you can advocate for policy. I saw my friend Larry Bright, who's part of he came down and testified for the State Corporation Commission when it came to Dominion trying to ask themselves for a raise to raise their rates. So we do a lot of different types of mobilization of folks, and it's on all different types of levels. But most of it's supporting an advocacy action, sharing far and wide. Additionally, other specific areas of interest, again, as we go outside of the policy sphere, is low and moderate income. I mean, that's something that we have to ensure that we can find, or the benefits of solar can reach all communities. So these are things that we don't have all the answers to, that we depend a lot on our network. So maybe there's a specific project or a specific organization that does good work. A good example, or one way that you can help, an example, is connecting us with that or helping do some of the legwork of a project. The other areas, again, are resiliency. Here in Virginia, I think it bears repeating with the ice storms, so with the grid outages that have plagued us, not only in the Commonwealth, but across the country, resiliency is an increasingly important theme. So maybe you're somebody that has installed battery storage. Again, a great opportunity to be a solar ambassador, to talk about your system and that firsthand experience of how you manage going solar with batteries is really, really important and impactful. Additionally, Spanish. So we want to be able to reach more of our communities, and that means doing our information sessions in Spanish, reaching more people whose native language is Spanish. That's what we're focusing on, and a great example or a good opportunity for you all to provide resources if you have any around that. I got a couple more slides. We'll go on to the next one if we could, and then stop and pause for some specific questions. And on policy, I mentioned before that we work on the state and local level, like the municipal level, and where we're really expanding our reach is with the 30 Million Solar Homes campaign. Essentially, there's a lot of different things that that encompasses. But basically, it's using rooftop solar, deploying 30 million solar roofs, whether it's on the roof of a house or community solar, address our climate change issue, address our need to build high quality jobs, as well as equity into our community. So it's a big initiative. Annie, I think, shared the website in the chat, but it's a way that we could build off of our impact here on the state level, connect on the national level too. So I think I might have one more slide or not. Let's see what we got. I think Annie's going to go ahead and do a poll, and then after the poll, we can take some questions. So how do you want to stay involved? I guess she's going to put that up there. The guiding policy is there's no right answer. It's really what you feel you could be most passionate about. So go ahead and fill that out.
And you're not committing to anything. It's just interest.
There you go. Allow people a minute or so to fill that out. All right. Maybe, does it look like everybody's participated, Annie?
We just have 2, but I don't know. It's all anonymous, so that's okay.
Hey, y'all got to participate. It's not gonna commit you to anything. So,
Forgetting who we're getting. It's all in the poll.
okay.
All right.
So solar, I have a question here, and again, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Is Solar United involved with the large installation plan near Pulaski County? No, we aren't. You know, we really focus on rooftop solar, distributed solar, mostly on homes, businesses, nonprofits. It looks like that is a large-scale utilities installation. You know, we think it's great that utility installations take place. You know, I don't think it's an either or, but we really focus on the distributed case. Another really good question from Jane Ellen. Hi, Jane Ellen. I've had a solar open house in case someone is curious about holding one. We'll be glad to discuss. Maybe Annie, if you wanted to talk a little bit about some updates on the solar tour and solar open houses. I see Tom, who's also been the host of many solar open houses in the past as part of the Hampton Roads group. Annie, if you wanted to speak to what we're doing with the open houses and the solar tour.
Yeah, I'd love to. So we're taking a little bit of a different tack this year, and we are actually not going to be hosting the National Solar Tour in the same way that we have in the past couple of years. It's, you know, we're trying to figure out how we can best achieve our goals, and while we want to participate in it and you know, certainly be a platform for anybody who wants to participate in it, to connect you all, we really want to focus in on doing more one-off and throughout the year open houses. So really being able to utilize your experience and your experience going solar at any point throughout the year when it's convenient for you, rather than plugging you into a solitary weekend. So we are going to be making we've got a solar open house kit that's available on our website. That's certainly available for use now, although it's a little different because everything's Zoom, but you can certainly film a rooftop solar or a solar installation and put that up there for a little party. But really sort of digging in and leaning into the solar house party concept and trying to recruit people to do that on a pretty regular basis. and giving you all the resources to feel comfortable doing so, especially when you've gone solar with us, because you know us and you hopefully like us, and can talk about us to your neighbors and friends who might be considering going solar. So we actually we'll be doing some trainings and some more updates to our solar open house kit over the next few months, and really focusing in on that as ways to share your solar story, and hopefully giving some more tools to help you do that, and to help recruit others to do that as well. So.
Yeah, that's great. And I've noticed there's a couple questions in there too, just on the last part about the solar open houses. So now it sounds like, just maybe if you could be a little, maybe answer my question, where we were supporting people as part of the Solar Open House Tour, the National Solar Tour, which happened in fall. It sounds like, Annie, maybe you can confirm that this can be more opportunistic. So if I have want to show off my system, say in July or something, would I be able to reach out and get some materials and some resources to help me plan that?
100%. So that's the idea, is to really have this available when it works for you, and to have these resources and have the support from our team whenever you want to do it, and however you want to do it too. Every single house party and every single open house is unique, and specific to the person who's hosting it. So we really want to make it easy for you to do it, and also fun. And also at any time. It's not always great to have one in October. So, depending on where you are, that could be a terrible time of year. So this will allow you to do that whenever works for you.
Great. Yeah, and I did see a good clarification too. We use the term rooftop solar. Obviously, rooftop is kind of shorthand for distributed solar. And distributed solar, I think Joy had a really good response to that. That could be a ground-mounted system next to a barn or a house. It could be on your roof. It could also be on a canopy as well. So looks like you are sharing some results. How would you like to support? So local policy, a lot of interest in solar ambassadors and local policy support, as well as the low to moderate income work and resiliency. So it sounds like there's a wide swath of people that are interested in kind of all different facets. Going and taking a few questions, and then maybe turning it back over to Annie. Let's see, so looks like a lot of interest in being a solar ambassador. Is there a way to see a list of upcoming solar open houses? That I think was available on the tour. I don't think for this iteration or what we're doing with the tour, that won't be available, but maybe a way to maybe coordinate. I know that in the past, Hampton Roads Solar Tour Group coordinated loosely, and we had some regional groups that coordinated to showcase a lot of different solar open houses in the area, but I don't think there's any sort of resource that has the ones in the area. Is that correct, Annie?
So we do have the nationalsolartour.org site that's still available from our 2020 tour, and that was all virtual. So there are literally hundreds of videos that you can check out, and they're searchable by geographic location, by what type of system you're interested in, if you're interested in storage or an EV, etc. So you can take a look at those videos, and that'll give you a good just a good resource. And we're trying to figure out what platform makes the most sense with sort of our new approach to this. So that's actually really good feedback for you to ask if there's a map or a list of upcoming open houses, especially as we start to do things in person again. Having some sort of way for people to take a look at that on our website is something that we're just trying to figure out what the right platform for it is. So we will be able to advertise those on our website if people are interested in having their open house listed. It won't look exactly like this National Solar Tour site, but that site is available for you to take a look at open houses that were on last year's tour.
Yeah, a good question from Lisa. So any suggestions for lobbying local school systems and local governments to adopt solar, any resources for this? So we're working in a couple different areas. We're partnering with a group called Generation 180. If you're not familiar with their work, they really focus on advocating for solar on schools. And maybe, I don't know if we have the link to the report. They've done some pretty extensive reports. So we work with them. In addition, or in concert with that, We're focusing right now on Appalachian Power in Southwest Virginia, who is essentially blocking solar on schools and government facilities under the auspices of an expired energy contract. They're despicably blocking solar on schools. And so we're working to mobilize some support. We've done some action alerts around that. We also have pretty extensive resources on our Solar for Schools. So I think that's an example of advocating on the local level, going to a school board meeting or getting involved with some administrators of a school, doing some education as well as some policy work. Yeah, and I think we can share some resources. That is a very specific area of interest, again, on the school and local governments. I live here in Richmond, and they've done a lot of different solar installations on schools and local governments. So sharing some of those best practices. I know that also in Virginia Beach, they're looking at doing some installations, and it just keeps growing. How can one participate, this is from David, in how can one participate in solar if the house is surrounded by trees and it wants to save? That's a good example of where community solar would be a good option. And what is really real community solar is it allows somebody that may not have a good site or a roof or maybe a shaded property to participate, to pay some sort of proportional investment in an offsite solar system and then receive a proportional credit on their utility bill. It could be, credit on their rate. It could be a lot of different things, but that's essentially what it is. And we didn't really have community solar or real community solar in Virginia until a law that was passed last year approves a program that's going to go in effect in 2023. And that would allow you to subscribe to community solar, or like what's called almost like a solar garden. And that would be a good fit for somebody that may not have a good site for solar, that perhaps is renting a property but wants to get some of that clean energy. The program is not yet in place as far as subscriptions go, but that's an example of where we can keep you posted. We actually did some mobilization of comments around the SCC rules for that specific piece of legislation. And our goal was to enable as much participation as possible. So community solar is a good way to do that. I'm just going down the group. Feel free to, Annie, if there's any questions I didn't get. So here's a good one from Alden. Hi, Alden. About 10 years ago, I was told my 10-year-old roof was too old for an installation. Didn't sound right. 5 years ago, the price was still high. Any reduction? Yeah, so a few things. When it comes to solar, we recommend that if you're going to re-roof your house in the next 10 years, it's a good idea to go solar either at the same time or after you replace your roof. And that's because what you want to avoid is putting the panels on your roof and then having to take them down, reinstall them, and store them while you re-roof. So that's the first part of your question. The second part is 5 years ago, the price was still high. Yeah, we've still seen some pretty considerable price reductions in the last 5 years. I don't have a specific percentage off the top of my head, but there is a pretty substantial reductions. I'd say, I'd estimate 30 or 40%. 2016, the average price per watt was over $5. It's now considerably less. So the price of solar keeps going down, the equipment gets better, but it's still a good idea to go solar as soon as possible. So I'm going through, it's like, it looks like Chris had some desire to share some of his experience. Again, I think that's a good example of when people are interested in solar contractors, somebody that's gone solar, maybe looked at different proposals, would be able to share their experience. A good example of a solar ambassador. We often will point people towards Energy Sage, as Annie mentioned before. We're installer and technology neutral. And And Tom added, yeah, current cost is about half of what he installed his system at in 2010. These are all good questions. I think maybe, Annie, if you wanted to continue, and then we could take a few questions at the very end, maybe point to some specific areas in which we're looking for some partners here. Annie, I don't know if you're on mute. If you wanted to talk anything about this, I can also grab it too.
Unmute myself. Sorry. We do have a bunch of upcoming trainings and opportunities for you all to take a part of if you're interested. On the 22nd, we'll be hosting a lobbying training. So this is something that will be focused on state issues as well as some national issues. And Aaron, I think you're joining us. I'm not positive, but awesome. So if you want to dig in and learn a little bit more about how to lobby, especially during this COVID time and being safe and distant, but also having an impact and making sure that your voice is heard, that'll be on the 22nd. And all these, we'll share all the registrations to these in the chat, but then also in the follow-up email. Aaron, do you want to talk about the Sierra Club opportunity?
Yeah, exactly. Great. So the Sierra Club is hosting a Sierra Club advocacy training, and that's March 4th at 6 p.m. And what they're looking for is somebody that could speak to their experience. So maybe a solar ambassador, somebody that went solar as on their own or through the co-op, and just go through some of the steps that they did and share their experience. So I think that would be a great opportunity for somebody that's interested in just sharing what they're looking or what their experience was.
Awesome, thanks. If you're interested in, again, sort of that solar ambassador trying to help people go solar, we will have a co-op recruitment training in early March. So especially if you've gone solar through a co-op, this is a great opportunity for you. So we'll be talking more about how you can help others go solar through a co-op. So we'll be reaching out to former co-op participants and then solar action team members. And that, again, similar to the lobby training, we'll have, we'll be talking sort of broad, but then also specifically have some working time for your specific state in any of our states that have urgent co-ops. Then if writing is a little more your style, at the end of March, we're doing a letter to the editor training as well. So we're sort of launching our letter to the editor network. So if you're interested in writing letters, if you've had experience and want to continue to do so, this is a training that's good for all levels of experience and something that we're going to use as a jumping off point. So it's not sort of it can certainly be a one issue and done, but the idea is to really have a group of people who are willing to write on local issues as well as in state issues to really amplify solar within your state. So that training is happening on the 25th. And then hopefully another solar action team meeting relatively soon. So.
Great. Is there any, you have the next slide and we can take some questions if there is not. Yeah. So there's our contact. And again, just to maybe reiterate some of the main points of what we said is that we all come at it from different motivations for going solar, whether it's environmental or any other motivation. What's really powerful is that you speak from your specific experience. And so part of this is to give you the tools to also get some ideas. I noticed that Kimberly shared in the chat a great idea for a solar speakers bureau, which is fantastic. So contact us. We have you on the list for volunteers of Virginia Solar Action Team or for the Virginia team. You can contact us. And, we're going to give you a lot of these different tools, whether it's a letter to the editor, whether it's basic lobby training. The lobby training is, hey, what should I dress like? What are the different opportunities for lobbying? So we're going to cover all of that. And, again, just facilitate your all's voice because that's the most important thing. So, let us give you the tools. Let's talk about ideas and, we're happy to help because really we've been successful because of folks like you. We facilitate the voice of everyday people. The power that Solar United Neighbors has is our ability to put real people's butts in seats at a hearing or at a legislative committee and to mobilize all those voices. So I really appreciate, again, I've seen a lot of familiar faces on here on this webinar and some new faces as well. So I'm just really grateful to have such a great engaged network here in Virginia, but also we're going to start to expand our work nationally too. So if that's an opportunity you're interested in, we're happy to share that. I don't know if there are any last minute questions or anything that you have, Annie, but that's pretty much it on our end.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if you are interested or just have questions or want to know more, feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to send more information, and we'll be following up with the webinar recording, the slides, as well as links to all those trainings that we talked about. And then Aaron, I just directly sent you a question that Harish had sent. I don't know if you want to answer that now about HOAs again.
Oh yeah, I did miss that. Sorry, Harish. So question is a good one. I'm trying to get our HOA to install solar on common areas for utility, for common facilities. I've read a little bit about the CPACE on how to get started on solar. Do we have any setup? Do you have to have set up an entity? What supplies power to an HOA? It really depends on the way your HOA is set up, but I think what you're interested in is for like on a condo or a multifamily building getting solar for the common areas, which is the most doable way of doing it. We do have some resources that I can follow up on. It just takes a little bit of time depending on the way the HOA is set up. It's hard to monetize tax credits for an HOA, but now with PPAs, power purchase agreements, depending again on the size of the system, there could be some opportunities there. So let's reach back out and I can make sure that we get the proper materials that you need. I think that is it. And I think also, again, Kimberly shared some of the FAQs, the Go Solar FAQs, and our Go Solar guide. Again, we're happy to share. We got a lot of materials. We got battery storage, webinars. We've got a lot of things. So reach out to us and feel free to share those things with your neighbors and with people that are interested in going solar. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Annie, and your team. And we look forward to being in touch with everybody. Last question from Larry, anything on the state level right now that we can help with? Our big action was sending letters to the State Corporation Commission for their for the VCAE carve out for SRECs. I think our next one might be some action around APCO and their refusal to stop blocking solar on schools in their territory, but we'll keep you updated. And you have our contact right there. All right, well, I think this will conclude our Solar Action Team meeting. Again, thank you all for joining us, and you know where to reach me and the rest of our team if you got any questions. We'll keep you posted for some immediate opportunities, and thank you again.